Picture this. Maria, 34 years old, works in marketing in Dallas, Texas. Last year, she got the call every employee dreams about, a promotion. Senior manager, a 25% raise. Her salary jumped into six figures for the very first time in her life. She called her mom crying tears of joy. She felt like she had finally made it. Fast forward 6 months. Maria is lying awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, doing mental math she can't make work. She moved into a nicer apartment downtown, $400 more a month, but it had a gym and a view, and she felt like she deserved it. She signed up for a weekly meal delivery service because her new job meant longer hours and no time to cook, another $280 a month. She upgraded her car lease because, well, senior managers don't drive 2014 Hondas. A few just this once shopping trips became a monthly habit. And now, here's the part that should shock you. Maria, making 6 figures for the very first time in her life, has less money in her savings account than she did the year before her promotion. This is not a story about Maria being bad with money. Maria is smart. Maria is responsible. Maria did everything right on paper. But Maria fell into one of the most dangerous and least talked about traps in personal finance. And according to recent reporting, she is far from alone. A Fortune report from late 2025 highlighted something that sounds almost impossible. U.S. workers earning more than $500,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling with the exact same financial anxiety as people making a fraction of that. Let that sink in. People bringing home $500,000 a year, stressed about money, just like everyone else. And a separate 2025 Goldman Sachs survey found that around 40% of Americans earning over $300,000 a year reported living paycheck to paycheck. This isn't a coincidence, and it's not random bad luck. There's a name for what's happening to people like Maria, and once you understand it, you will never look at a raise, a bonus, or a promotion the same way again. It's a psychological phenomenon that financial experts are now calling one of the biggest silent threats to American wealth building, and it's happening to ambitious, hard-working people in every city, every industry, every income bracket. Today, we're going to break down exactly what this trap is, why your brain is practically designed to fall into it, real numbers showing how bad it's gotten across America, and most importantly, how you can take that next raise or promotion and actually come out ahead instead of secretly going backward. Because the goal was never just to make more money. The goal is to actually keep it. Let's get into it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Andrew Finance, the channel where we talk about money the way it actually plays out in real American lives, not the sanitized version you see in textbooks. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because every week we break down exactly what's happening with money in this country and what you can actually do about it. And if you're already part of the crew, drop a comment below. Have you ever gotten a raise and somehow ended up feeling more broke afterward? I want to hear it. Let's get into today's topic. So what exactly is happening to Maria and to millions of Americans like her? It's called lifestyle creep, sometimes referred to as lifestyle inflation. And in the simplest terms, it's what happens when your spending quietly increases right alongside your income after a raise, a bonus, or a new higher-paying job. The key word here is quietly. Nobody wakes up one day and decides, I'm going to sabotage my finances. It happens in small, individually reasonable feeling decisions. A nicer apartment, a few more dinners out, a subscription here, an upgrade there. Each decision feels justified in the moment. You just got a raise, you worked hard for it, you deserve it. But here's the part that should genuinely concern you. According to a 2025 report covering financial pressures across the American workforce, average salary increases were running around 3.6%, while everyday costs continued climbing, and more than half of U.S. workers reported struggling to meet their basic financial obligations even with those raises. And it's getting worse the higher up the income ladder you go, not better. recent reporting found that as income rises, people earning $100,000 a year are now more likely to report living paycheck to paycheck than people earning $50,000 a year. Read that again. The people making double the income are more financially stressed, not less. That breaks the basic assumption most of us grow up with, that more money automatically means more security. It doesn't. Not if your spending grows just as fast or faster than your income. And here's why this is happening at such a massive scale right now in America. It's not just individual bad choices. The cost of basic necessities has exploded. Groceries, housing, insurance, healthcare. At the exact same time, wages have been rising, creating this illusion of progress that masks the reality underneath. So when you get that promotion, your brain registers, "I have more money now," but your environment is simultaneously saying, "Everything costs more now, too." The net result for millions of Americans is a wash, or worse, a step backward, because the lifestyle upgrades that came with the new income often come with new fixed costs that are much harder to undo than they were to start.
Now let's get into the psychology, because this is the part that nobody talks about, and it's the actual reason this trap is so effective. The first concept you need to understand is called hedonic adaptation. Your brain has a baseline for what feels normal, and it adjusts that baseline shockingly fast. When Maria got her raise, that first month probably felt amazing. The nicer apartment, the freedom to order takeout without guilt, it felt like luxury. But by month 3 or 4, that luxury became her new normal. Her brain stopped registering it as a treat and started treating it as a baseline expectation. And once something becomes your baseline, going back below it doesn't feel neutral, it feels like a loss. This is why people who get raises rarely scale their lifestyle back down, even when they realize they're struggling. Their brain interprets that as a punishment, even though, objectively, it would just be returning to how they lived a year earlier, when they were, by their own admission, perfectly happy. The second psychology trap is social comparison, and in 2025, this has been turbocharged by social media in ways previous generations never dealt with. The moment Maria became a senior manager, her brain started unconsciously comparing her lifestyle to other senior managers. People she follows on Instagram, people in her new social circle, people at industry conferences. Suddenly, her old apartment, her old car, her old wardrobe felt like they belonged to a previous version of her that didn't match her new title. This is sometimes called identity-based spending, where people spend money not based on what they need, but based on who they think they're supposed to be now. The third trap, and maybe the most dangerous one, is what behavioral economists call mental accounting, combined with the "I deserve it" narrative. When extra money arrives, whether it's a raise, a bonus, or a tax refund, our brains tend to categorize it differently than our regular paycheck. It feels like bonus money, money that exists outside our normal budget, money that's almost meant to be spent on something special. Combine that with the emotional high of achievement, "I worked so hard for this promotion, I deserve to enjoy it," and you get a perfect storm where new income gets earmarked for spending before it ever gets a chance to build wealth. And here's the data that proves how widespread this is. A 2025 survey found that nearly 1 in 3 Americans earning six-figure incomes reported experiencing real financial distress. Not people struggling to make ends meet on minimum wage, six-figure earners in genuine financial distress. The system isn't broken because people are bad with money. It's broken because our brains evolved for scarcity and immediate rewards, and modern income increases trigger exactly the wrong instincts at exactly the wrong time in an economy that's simultaneously making everything more expensive.
Okay, so now that you understand why this happens, let's talk about how to make sure your next raise, bonus, or promotion actually makes you wealthier, not just busier and more stressed. The first strategy, and this is the single most powerful one, is what some financial experts call the pretend it never happened method. One man, after getting promoted into a six-figure salary, deliberately continued living on his old income for 6 months, automatically directing every dollar of the increase straight into savings and investments before he ever saw it in his checking account. By the time he allowed himself any lifestyle upgrades, his wealth-building habits were already locked in. They had become his new normal instead of his spending habits being the new normal. This works because of the same hedonic adaptation we talked about earlier, except now you're using it in your favor. If you never adjust your visible spending money, your brain never builds the expectation, and there's nothing to give up later. The second strategy is a simple framework some advisors recommend for any raise. Split it roughly into thirds. A portion goes toward enjoying your success, a larger portion goes toward debt or savings goals, and the rest builds long-term wealth through investing. So you still get to feel the reward of your hard work, but the majority of the increase is working for your future instead of disappearing into your daily life. The third strategy is automation, and the timing matters more than people realize. Set up the automatic transfer for your increased savings on the very same day your first bigger paycheck arrives. Not next month, not once I figure out my new budget. If you wait, the money has a way of disappearing into spending before you even notice. The fourth strategy is to audit for fixed costs specifically, because as we talked about, fixed costs are the dangerous ones. A general rule of thumb is keeping housing costs around 30% of your income and vehicle costs around 35% combined with other obligations. And every time your income jumps, recheck these ratios instead of just assuming you can afford more now. As for Maria, once she actually sat down and mapped out where her raise had gone, she was shocked at how much of it had quietly vanished into recurring costs she barely used. She canceled the meal delivery service, downgraded the car lease at renewal, and redirected $600 a month into an automated investment account. 6 months later, she had more saved than she'd ever had in her life on the same salary that, just months earlier, had left her feeling broke. The raise didn't change. Her relationship with it did. That's it for today's video. If this opened your eyes even a little, smash that like button and share it with someone who just got a raise or promotion. They need to see this before the lifestyle creep sets in. And if you haven't subscribed to Andrew Finance yet, now's the time, because we've got more videos coming that are going to challenge how you think about money. Drop a comment and tell me, has a raise ever made your finances feel worse instead of better? I read every single comment.